All right, guys, welcome to Close and Conquer the podcast. I do want to start by letting you know why we made this name change, right? We've been punching me in the face now for about a year. I want to talk to you about what I'm doing, where I've been, why I believe and why I know I'm qualified to talk about what I'm talking about, and also where I want to go. And most importantly is what I want to provide. What I want people to get when they watch the podcast, when it drops every week and they get their 30, 35, 37, 29 minutes, what I'm hoping you get out of it, and it'll be a failure if we're not able to communicate that. First of all, punch me in the face. I decided to get in the podcast business. I decided to get in the mentorship business and the coaching business. I'm going to be honest, I did that because I thought there was a huge vacancy. Yes, the vacancy creates an opportunity, but I also realized that for me coming up in business, I was raised by a single mom, me and my little brother. My mother worked 3 jobs her entire life. I watched my mother struggle to pay bills. It was a grind. And at a very young age, I knew how much I loved my mom and I knew how much I respected her work ethic, but I knew I never wanted to end up living like that. And there was nothing, I just knew I wanted to put myself in a position where I could take care of her eventually, which I was able to do, and then do the other things I wanted to do in life. She was a winner, a massive winner as a parent, and she did everything she could to provide for me and my brother. When I went to high school, and we didn't have money. So like growing up, we didn't talk about entrepreneurship. We didn't talk about business. When you have a single mom and she works 3 jobs, you don't sit around and have a family dinner 5, 6, 7 nights a week. By the way, it's fine. But I'm just telling you, that's the way that it works. But when people started asking me when I was younger, and now you understand, like at the age I'm at, back in that day, the stigma of like your mom and dad aren't together, you're from a broken home, I'd be like, what does that mean? Like I'm seeing your mom and dad together and that's a broken home because all they do is argue and they hate each other. So why am I less than you, or why can't? And I developed, when I was at a very young age, I developed a massive chip on my shoulder. And that evolved into motivation, but early on, it was just lashing out. But I had a chip on my shoulder. I watched other people and the way they were living their lives. I watched them when they had the first day of school. I watched the clothes they wore. I watched the cars they drove. I watched the vacations they took. And I was never mad or envious. You know, I wasn't envious. I wasn't sitting around going, my God, what is wrong? I was very motivated. I was motivated because I thought, you know what? Money doesn't make you happy. You've got to learn to be happy with yourself, right? But I also learned that I live in a capitalistic society at an age of 8, 9, 10. And if I live in a capitalistic society in America, then money's important. And you can't spin it any other way. So when I was moving through high school, what kept me going was sports. I kept my grades up to where I needed to do to be able to play ball, baseball, basketball, football. Early on, I always hated basketball, to be honest with you. And I probably hated it because I was really good at like just playing defense, boxing out, setting screens, and then not shooting the ball. Matter of fact, my job if I got the ball was to give it to somebody else. My buddy Mike Gillette, let him shoot it 100 times a game. And if he scored, he scored. If he didn't, we lost, right? But at the end of the day, I love playing football and baseball. When I was get ready to do done with high school, I wanted to join the Marines. That's what I wanted to do. I went down to the Connecticut Armory, took my ASVABs, scored well on them, and I was going to be a Marine. I was 17 years old when I graduated high school. And my mother, before that, she was just not a big fan. She wanted me to go to college. She's like, you know, when you're under 18, she would have to sign something. She just wasn't a big fan, and she pushed me hard to go to college. I really didn't have any desire until other people I knew that I played ball with were like, hey, I'm going to college to play ball. And I'm like, where are you going? They're like, there's junior college over here. I'm going over here. And I'm like, if you're going to play ball, hell, I'm as good as you. Like, how did you find these schools? They're like, my dad, my mom. Like, my mom was working 3 jobs. So I went to a JUCO to play baseball. When I got there, I was like, man, I love the game of baseball. I love competing. There was guys better than I'd ever played with, so that fired me up and got me gassed up. Problem is, I like to party a lot at that moment in time. I've been sober now 23 years this past September, so that's a big part of my life. It's why I'm alive and or not incarcerated. And also, when I tell you a story or I tell you what happened in my life, I'm also telling you the truth. And what I mean by that is, you know, everybody online nowadays has the same narrative, and some of them are telling the truth, and the vast majority of them aren't. There are people that you listen to online that'll go, yep, I was a drug dealer. They were not. Like, I know people know them. They grew up with them. They weren't. They'll say they went to jail. They did not. Like, it's like they're lying to say. It's first of all, it's odd. Like, you are who you are. And so you can't benefit from somebody's story if it's fictitious. It's a fairy tale. They can't educate, motivate, or empower you through their fairy tale. So for me, I was partying way too much. You know what I mean? I wasn't selling drugs with the cartel. I wasn't some big drug dealer, but I sold drugs to make money. I sold weed, cocaine to make money. I liked coke. I loved crack. I loved eating mushrooms. I partied, dude. I partied hard. and that was my outlet. So unfortunately, baseball went to the back burner. I don't think I was going to play shortstop or third base or pitch for the Yankees. I knew who I was and what I could do, and I thought I could play for a number of other years, but I didn't think I was going to get paid millions of dollars to play the game. I was very much a realist, and where I was at, my high school football coach told me, "Too bad you ain't faster." Because you like contact, like to hit, but you're as fast as you're pretty much going to get. And even if you get a little bit faster, you're still going to be slow. And never forget he said that. He said, even if you get a little bit faster, you'll still be slow. I was like, damn, that's actually impressively bad, So I knew that I had to find a way to go make money. So when I graduated college, I was a business major for about 3 months. The business professors weren't not in business, so when they were teaching about business, I thought they were lying to me because they didn't know what they were talking about, so that put me in a bad spot. So I switched majors. I decided to find a major where the people were actually doing what they said they were doing. Became a social work major. Did that, criminal justice, graduate college, working at UPS through college. I'd unload trucks. I'd go in there loaded, cocked out of my mind for 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd unload trucks for 4 hours, sober up. I'd get done, shower, changed, class, baseball practice, whatever. And then when we had baseball in the morning early on in the fall, I'd get up, leave work, go baseball, shower, class. Sometimes I didn't do class, but I would always do baseball and always did my work because I was paying my way through college. My expenses, my added expenses, I wasn't paying anything for the tuition, but paying my way through college. So then when I started to really realize that I needed to find a way to make money, I thought I'd become a social worker. I'd serve people. I have a screwed up background. That's what most social workers, where we come from. Like, we have these issues and we're like, hey, we couldn't fix ours, but we're going to fix yours. So welcome to the world, and we're now your social worker. And I didn't know where to go for a job. And my buddy Mike, who I played ball with in high school, was going to take the police exam. And I was like, well, I don't know if I'm qualified to be a police officer. I was arrested a number of times. I didn't serve years in jail, but I was arrested, 9, 10 times. And you know what I mean? After a couple days here, a weekend here, a week here, like it was, I used to get a lot of trouble. And I thought, they'll never give me a job. I mean, I've not done anything I don't think is horrible, fighting other guys, getting drunk, getting high, I didn't think that was going to destroy my life, but I didn't think they'd give me a badge and a gun. But I was like, hell, I'll go take the exam. So I went with him to the physical fitness part first. That's what we did then. We went to this Plainfield High School, ran push-ups. I'm like, God, this is easy. If you can't do this, you're in terrible shape. And I was 21 at the time. Then I took a written exam, smoked that. It was super easy. And then I started getting interviews. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy. They're never going to give me a job. Matter of fact, one of the jobs I applied at in Groton in Connecticut, the guy said, have you been arrested? I said, yes. He goes, you've actually been arrested here, and you've been in our holding cell for a few days. And I was like, yeah, I have. And he's like, dude, we can't hire you. And I was like, oh, well, I didn't, you all put out the ad and I applied. I ended up getting a job. One of the departments, actually, I told them everything. Matter of fact, when I went for my final interview, they had a board. They call it Board of Police Commissioners. They were going through everything. And they asked me about substance abuse. And I was like, guys, how many times you smoke weed? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, well, guess. I'm like, I don't know, 1,900, 2,000. I mean, I don't know, because it was like every day from the age of, 13. And they hired me. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Went to the police academy. When I got to the police academy, after a while, and I went out in my FTO, and when I went out in my FTO, I thought it was like a movie. I thought we were going to be tackling people, jumping off of buildings. I was like really amped up, had a big chip on my shoulder, and I thought like Fast and the Furious was real life. And I realized that, it probably wasn't the greatest fit for me. And the department realized that too. 2 days left with my academy. Matter of fact, I would play on their softball team and argue with the people because they were terrible at softball, and then they would yell at me, and then they had a police hierarchy like, he's this guy, you can't yell at him. I'm like, but if I can kick his ass, why is he over me? Because the hierarchy that I was raised in and around was, if it's a guy and you're a guy, if you can kick my ass, then you're above me in the hierarchy. If I can kick your, and I'm not saying it's right, but that was the way. That was just when I played ball. If there was a guy that was older than me, played football, grabbed me by the face mask and told me I better do this and that, and he could whoop my ass, and I was a freshman, he was a senior, dude, I did what he told me to do, bro. Like, that was the way the hierarchy worked. I didn't like that. When I got older, I was like, that doesn't work that way. Like, they didn't understand that hierarchy with me. And then I got, I wasn't so good when I was out in the field a few times, probably said and did some things I shouldn't have done, and they were like, hey, you're going to have to go, dude. Like, you're a massive liability. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I went to a job landscaping in 2 weeks. And a friend of mine said, hey, you should come to the state of Connecticut, work with abused and neglected children. There's openings as social workers. So how much does it pay? He said $49,000 a year. I'm like, well, I was making $38,000 carrying a badge and a gun, and I wasn't even really a good fit for that. So I went and took that job. Worked there for 13 years. And while I was at the state of Connecticut working as a social worker, I wasn't trying to get rich. There was never a part of me that, at the end of the night was, so some of you are like, man, I'm an entrepreneur by spirit, and it's always been in my heart. Okay. I just want a better life. and I still didn't know how to get it. I just took a job, and then I worked a second job. So I was making about 110, 15 grand a year. It wasn't awful. It wasn't great. I was getting by. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to get a real estate license. Got a real estate license, started selling real estate, started building houses, started flipping houses, started developing land, and I built a massive real estate company and sold that. I managed thousands of I owned them, and I had somebody manage thousands of properties, had all these deals, and I decided I was going to package that thing up one day and sell it, and I sold it for quite a bit of money. I was like, wow, this is amazing. As I was doing that, I still had my state job, which sounds weird because I was making like money, but I had a state job, good benefits, and I was raised where jobs are king. Don't ever lose your jobs, and benefits are like the whole deal. And I'm like a lot of other people, so I kept that job. And then in 2008, I had a guy approach me about life insurance, and he said, you should look into life insurance. I said, well, I have life insurance through like my job, which I found out wasn't really my life insurance. They owned it, and I have my own policy. Thank God I have a bunch of them now. I said, he goes, no, to sell life insurance. I said, why would I do that? He said, because you can do it on your own schedule and you can make pretty good money if you're good at it. I'm like, what do we got to do? He's like, call people up that ask for life insurance. I'm like, well, that's easy as hell. I can definitely do that. I'll start tomorrow. So I started that in June of '08. And that's when I decided, after about 3 months, I was like, wow, I'm getting paid 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grand a week. And I'm just calling people up. I'm buying leads for like $1,000 a week. I'm doing pretty well. I'm going to end up leaving my state job. Left my state job. Was already doing what I was doing with real estate, sold, did that with the company. I built a waste management company and sold that, learned a lot about the waste management business. I liked real estate a lot. I liked waste management a lot. I liked all my sales positions prior to real estate, construction materials, mold mitigation, you name it. It had to do with homes and real estate. I probably was involved in the sale of that, right? I loved working at UPS as a job. I wasn't a sales guy. But when I found life insurance, I love life insurance because I loved my job at the state of Connecticut. Matter of fact, I probably would never left the state of Connecticut. I actually was like, when I was doing all that other stuff, making money, what happened was I got a new management team, and they sucked. They didn't know what they were doing. They were terrible. They'd never been in the field. I was autonomous. I was good at my job. I worked my ass off for the kids. I worked my ass off for the family. I tell every family, if you're working hard to protect your kids, I'll be the greatest ally you've ever had. If you're trying to harm your kids, I'll be the greatest enemy you've ever had. You're going to decide. Choose your enemies wisely. You know what I mean? Like just you decide what you want to do. You figure that whole thing out. And I think it's getting people to understand that I loved my job. When the new management team come in, they started having us do things that didn't make sense for children. And they had me remove a kid from a home where he was safe. I know that the people had history and they weren't his parents, but he'd been raised with for 8, 9 years. He was completely safe. They were judging him on history. They had 20 years ago some substance abuse stuff and arrests, and they had been sober and clean and had 2 great jobs and like pillars of the community. But these people that I worked for were very judgmental, put the kid in a foster home, and there's things that happened in a foster home that never should have happened, never should have been in care. So I was like, you know what? I quit. Like, I'm getting out of here. And yes, I had already started to build something, but I don't even know had like my management team not changed. I don't know. I might just still be there and may never even built the insurance business I did. So I already had a taste of making some money, and I decided to go out on my own completely. That wasn't until I was 36 years of age. Dude, I'm all about you going out on your own early, but you do have to understand you have to have a way to make money. If you go out on your own and bust your ass selling something, then you liquidate, like you use your sweat equity to build something unless you have money. So I built an insurance company, launched that in December. Well, I got in the insurance business in '08, worked for another guy for 4 or 5 years, 5 years. And I didn't like, after a while, I was like, hey, dude, I don't like the structure here. I need to get a different deal. I'm your number one salesperson. I'm your number one builder. Like, I'm your number one recruiter. Like, I'm good at this. And if you're good at something, it's okay to say you're good at it. If you're not good at something, don't say you're good at it. That's weird. Matter of fact, get really good at saying you're good at things you're good at and getting better at saying I'm bad at things I'm bad at. And you'll be unbelievably successful. And so I was like, I need a different deal. I need a different contract. And the guy to my face said yes when I went back to my house. He's a big liquid courage guy, called me. He'd been drinking, said, I'm never going to change anything. You have to figure it out. I was like, good, I'm going to figure it out. So I left, quit, started my own company, December 12, 2013. We started with nothing. One insurance carrier, independent marketing organization. First year did about 11, 12 million in sales. In our 10th year, we just did $760 million in paid sales. My degrees from Eastern Connecticut State University, my master's degrees from Central Connecticut State University in social work and criminal justice. I didn't grow up with any business mentorship. I found business mentors along the way. But on Close and Conquer, you're going to hear me talk a lot, and I mean a lot, about learning how to close. Our guests, and we will have guests every week, are going to come on here and give you real life. We're going to ask them difficult questions. We're going to ask them to share things. We're going to ask them to give you information that you can use. And what I'm doing in this space, so you can hear it and you can tell everybody that's in it. And by the way, I love when people bet against me. So when I got in the insurance business, I said I'll be the biggest, literally the biggest distributor of life insurance that anybody's ever seen in America. Like the insurance carriers are over there, but the people that distribute those products, I'll be the biggest one ever. And everybody behind my back laughed. And the funny thing is that this business is the biggest life insurance distribution business that anybody's seen. Period. End of story. There's been companies that have more people, that scream louder, jump up and down at events, but nobody's sold and moved more insurance and gotten more families across America protected and their financial needs met than the company that I launched and run. So I know how to do that, right? So for you in this space, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at people out there who've maybe never sold a business, never really scaled a business. Their story may not even be true. And if they are, I'm excited if they're excited, that's awesome. But can they empower you to get better? And if they can, then by all means get around them. I learned who to get around by finding people and investing here. And there were some coaches I gave money to and it was a waste of time. But I found somebody else. There were some events I went to, they were a waste of time, but I found another event. There were some online courses that I became part of that were a waste of, but I kept working hard and I knew I had to invest in me if I wanted to grow anything around me. So I knew unequivocally at the end of the day that if I wanted to scale something, I needed to be empowered, I need to be educated. I also, to this day, am trying to educate myself every single day. I also think about the things that have gone on in my life. I am spiritual. Like I'm judged by God, not by you. It's an amazing feeling when you can literally, if you could feel the peace that comes over me when I say, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks or says if I'm doing the best I can. Outside of God. Like I genuinely don't care. I don't even have a second to go, wonder why he said that or wonder why she said that. I don't care. There's no part of me that cares. It doesn't remotely alter what I'm doing. Because I understand what I need to accomplish. When I was 9, I was hit by a truck. I used to race my dirt bike, thought I was bad. We didn't have any money. So I saved up to get a Hutch Pro Star. Like I was working like odd jobs. I was painting this boat, somebody that my family knew, doing stuff in my grandparents' house, mowing the lawns, going around my apartment complex, seeing if people need anything. Can't mow lawns, apartment complex because there was no lawn. But I was trying to do stuff, clean cars, shovel your driveway during the winter time. Also, like I said, I bought my Hutch Pro Star, had it for a matter of minutes, man. It was probably a couple months. My mom forbid me from riding it downtown. My mother has dreams that come true, and they do. She's had them over like a number of them over the course of my life, and she had a dream when I was 9 that I got hit by a truck, where it was at 2 months later. So, I mean, whatever you believe in or not, I just don't mess with my mom. My mom says something happened. I'm like, I don't know if I understand it, but I'm listening to you, right? But I didn't take her advice. Boom, truck hit me. I dislocated my hip, broke my legs, broke my arms, and my heart stopped. And then my mom was there, and she went into like a anxiety deal. Which I understand because she was watching her 9-year-old son, thought he was dead. Brought me to the hospital. I lived. I wrecked my car drunk completely. I couldn't even tell you what year. I mean, I don't know, 97 or something. Wrecked it, totaled it, nothing. I mean, I walk out without a scratch. I flipped a four-wheeler 5 years ago, broke 7 ribs, broke my neck, broke my back, broke my leg, broke my arm. And they said that I'm my T1, well, I was just a millimeter from being paralyzed, what the doctor told me, but I'm walking. So I realized that God don't keep me here because he needs me here. God keeps me here because people here need me, whoever those people are. Same with you. You woke up today because somebody out there needs something you provide. And I'm very respectful of that. So for me, I understand how to scale a business. I understand how to teach you to close. I've sold every company I've been at. And I've also sold a lot of companies that run. But every company I've been at, I've been the top salesperson. I'm good at that. I suck at a lot. Don't have patience, have a hard time listening. If you've ever taken the DISC assessment, you like either a high D, high I, high S, high C. I'm a high D. So if you know what that means, I'm difficult to deal with. I'm already trying to move on to the next thing. If you're going to give me information, I want it like truncated real quick. So I have a lot of weaknesses, you know. I remember I think it was Nick Saban one day said something about patience. So if you're going to talk about patience, I don't have any. Like, so I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, God, I feel that. You know, I'm no Nick Saban from a coaching standpoint, but I'm like, I feel it. I'm just trying. And in my business, there's times I need patience. Like, there's times I do need to do that. But we're going to talk about how you learn how to close. The first person you have to learn how to close is you. And the Punch Me in the Face title was a great title. It was awesome. But I started to become a better student in the industry and started thinking about, what am I going to talk about every week? I want to find something I love. I liked Punch Me in the Face, just like I liked real estate, liked waste management. I fell in love with life insurance. I like Punch Me in the Face. I think Punch Me in the Face is great. I like wearing the shirt. I like when drunk people go, can I punch you in the face? And they're guys. I go, sure, you get one shot for free, bro, but make it really fucking good, because you get one. You don't get more than one free one. So it's a good conversation starter. I like it. It makes me laugh, blah, blah, blah. But listen, dude, I'm not going to be in here with UFC guys and girls every week talking about getting punched in the face. Yes, life punches you in the face. I wrote a book, Punch Me in the Face, which I think is great. And I've got a lot of really good feedback on it. I love that it's helped people. So that's amazing. It's a quick read. It's simple. It's straightforward. It's a blueprint of how to get going and get moving. It's not a blueprint to how to have the ultimate success, how to get off of your ass now and get moving, how to get back up off your ass when you get knocked down. So, but when I started thinking about names and I thought about close and conquer, you know, the fact that you coach, you challenge, and you close, you know, and you're challenging, you're coaching, you're closing, you're coaching, sometimes you're closing, you're coaching, you're challenging, but those things are always happening. You might be closing and then you're coaching yourself after. You might be closing and getting coached afterwards. You might be challenging yourself before you even close. But those three things are happening on a daily basis in your life. And the first person you got to close in the morning when you get up is you. Most of us fail before we get started. The reason I knew I'd be great at honestly, every business I was in, just so you know, I'd outwork everybody. And I knew I had a better attitude. I knew I was more resilient too. I knew I didn't give a shit what anybody thought. I knew that I was unwavering. And I knew that no matter what was happening, I was going to keep my eye on the prize and keep moving. And I knew I had a chip on my shoulder that I was going to move from a chip to a motivator. I'm smart. I think I'm not the smartest guy in the room. Never claimed to be. Don't want to be. I'm all good. You know, I was on a flight the other day. I was flying, and my pilots, they were going through wind shear, and they were explaining all this to me. I was trying to land in Houston for national championship game. We had to fly to Galveston. And it's funny because they were going through all this science of everything. And I'm like, man, it's funny when people say they don't need science and math, they're lying, because you fly an airplane. I said, well, what happened if we come into the wind shear? He goes, they just push the plane to the ground and we crash as we're landing. I'm like, well, that seems like that's not good, right? And they're like, no. But it's that, you know, it's the epitome of what you do in life. When I got a private jet, I found a buddy of mine who's owned them forever. He's a little bit older than me. He's done very, very well in life. And he said, I'm going to give you one piece of advice. I said, what's that? He said, always let the pilots do their job and don't intervene. You're a very good salesperson. You can close them on doing anything you want. And there'll be times that they won't want to land, take off, fly a certain route, and just listen to them. Patience, right? Because I didn't have any. So now I'm like, you know what? I just do that. So when they tell me that, I believe their math and their science, and I go, just like, let's land in Galveston. I'll drive from Galveston to Houston and make it for the kickoff. And, you know, I bet a lot on Michigan anyway. I like to gamble a lot, just in case you want to know. College football. So stay tuned during college football season. We'll give you some picks. We'll make you some money. A number of a very multi-year run here of making quite a bit of money. And I don't mess with the NFL. I don't mess with the NBA, so I'll leave that up to you. But I want to have fun. I want to challenge people. I want to challenge myself on a daily basis. We're going to have some big guests on here. We get some pretty big guests on here, man. It's amazing. We have some really big guests coming up. And we got David Goggins coming up. We got Shannon Sharp coming up. And we got Barbara Corcoran coming up. And a lot of people. We just had Sean Merriman on. You know what I mean? I had my buddy Brad Lee on. You know, I have Zay Jones from the Jaguars on. We have a lot of folks that are a lot of successful business people that we have on. And a lot of, but for me, what I'm living to do and what I'm most focused on is every time you watch Close and Conquer, there's something in your life that you're going to be able to conquer, you're going to be able to close or do both with. But again, the person that you're fighting with on a daily basis is yourself. You got to close you before you can close them belts. What makes a great closer? Oh, I'll talk about that quite a bit. I do courses on it. I coach people on it. When I got my life insurance license, people thought I couldn't sell the number I put up. I was like, dude, why y'all sell so little? And they're like, nobody sells that much a week. And I was like, I will. And then I taught an army of men and women to do it. Because the magic to business is not what you create for yourself. It's what you're creating for others. And anytime you build something, team, you're coaching, you're parenting, from a business standpoint, it's simple for me. Whether it's real estate, waste management, or life insurance, you got to make a lot of tough decisions. And most people go into panic mode when they make those, and they think about what's best for them first, and only them. I think about what's best for the client. Got to be great for the client. Got to be great for the agent, the employee, anybody that's getting paid and working with the company, whether it's real estate, waste management, life insurance. Got to be great for consumer, great for the client. I'm great for the employee, great for the salesperson, the independent contractor, whatever it is. And then it can't harm the company. There are decisions you will make that will be great for two of those three things, and it won't hurt you. It won't be great for you right off the bat. In the long run, it'll be great for you. Because if I start making this money and I'm like, if I divide it up like this, I'll keep a lot less, but that's great for client, great for agent, and a little bit of a lot becomes a lot. The greatest business advice I got was from Arthur Blank, who owns Falcons, I believe he still owns them, and launched Home Depot, and I was sitting in a very small group of 10 people. I paid $7,500 to go there. I had no money, and I was in my 30s, early to mid-30s, and he said, I remember like it was yesterday, he asked if anybody had any questions. And the funny thing for me is most people don't ask questions because they're afraid of what people think. And I kill in that environment because I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. So like I'll ask 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the people that are there training or mentoring or leading, they like me more. I'm bolder. I ask good questions, thought-provoking questions. I listen when they answer. I don't interrupt. And then because I know their role, I know who they are, and I'm a good student when I want to be a good student. So for me, and I remember I said to him, I said, if you don't mind me asking, I haven't launched I'm looking, I've run a couple of businesses. And also when you ask questions, you need to like not throw up and then ask a question. I like to ask them real quick. I don't want to go like, here's how awesome I am for 45 seconds, ask a question that like I think I already know the answer to. I said, I've run a couple of businesses. I don't even know what it looks like in your arena, but I have one question for you. If I'm looking to launch something massive, and I mean massive, what would one piece of advice you'd give me? Like one. Like I want to build, I don't even know what industry it's in yet, but I want to do something massive. And he said to me, look me in the eyes, and he said, when we launched, he called it HD Home Depot, and they sold it for billions. When we launched Home Depot, he said it was a grind. We didn't know a lot about anything. I just knew the concept of big box stores would work because the prices would be better for the client, the consumer. I can employ a lot of people. It would be great for them. And the decisions we made early on were we knew that making a little bit would be fine because if we could make a little bit of a lot, it would be a lot or more than enough. And I never forgot that growing my business, especially the last one, life insurance. And I sold 3 businesses for excess of $100 million plus. Like life's good, right? But for me, I want people to experience what I had to work really hard to find. I had to go to train over here. Then I had to go to train over here. Then I had to find one over here. Then I had to go ahead and check this guy's thing out. Then I had to get in this one. Then I got in this subscription. If you're looking to become better at sales and learn how to be a better closer, I can help you with that. This show will help you weekly. If you're trying to conquer something, trying to conquer your addiction, dude, I'm very qualified, fortunately or unfortunately, to speak to that. You're trying to conquer your anger, your frustration, your patience. I'm working on some of them. I've conquered some of them. If you're trying to conquer a low self-image, if you're trying to conquer low self-esteem, if you're trying to conquer this, I don't know if I belong. I don't know if I am able to sit in that room. I don't know if I'm as smart as those guys and girls. I'm your guy. I know how to challenge and coach you and close you on you. And if you're looking to teach other people to do it, man, I'm doing pretty good, Sean, closing. I'd like to teach other people how to do it. I want to scale something massive. I want to exit. How do you exit, man? You've exited 3 different companies, 3 different industries, 3 different companies. That's amazing. But I want to take and I'll leave you with this. I was at a national championship football game, and I was with this guy who played for keeps calling it UW. All I can say now Washington is UW because like I always just said University of Washington. I didn't really know him that well. I grew up on the East Coast, and he's like UW. He played linebacker at UW. Okay. And I said, talk to me about your experience. He's like, well, I was recruited to Boise State, and then some coaching changes happened, and I was like, guy was over at Washington, said, why don't you come over to UW? And then by the time I went to come over there, like, hey man, a lot of the guys from last year stayed. We don't have a scholarship for you. And I said, well, what'd you do? He's like, well, my mom did the whole thing for me. My mom is the only one in my life, and we were real tight on money, but I bet on myself. And I bet on myself. The coach said if I could earn a scholarship, like I had the right, they would give me an opportunity to do that. And he said, so I went out there and I gave it every single thing I had, eventually earned a scholarship. Then they paid back the loans I had taken out for the first year or two, whatever it was. And then everything else was full scholarship, paid for nothing else the rest of my football career. And I said, that's what I do. And he said, what do you mean? I said, that's what I do in business. Most of the people that I meet were walk-ons. I was a walk-on in business. I wasn't a scholarship athlete. Nobody came to me and said, man, you got a great pedigree. You went to a great school. You know Tom. That means you're great. You dress great. I was a walk-on. I loved every effing minute of being a walk-on. Like, still do to this day. So if you have that edge about you, if you wish you had that edge about you, if you want to know if you should believe in yourself, if you want to learn what do rich people think like, I'll tell you, I know a lot of them. You know, and I don't apologize for doing well. People like are always weird. Like, well, you know, I had a guy come pick car up the other day. He's like, man, you guys like in this neighborhood, like you're rich. I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I worked really hard to have what I have, and I don't apologize for any of it. I didn't apologize when I was broke, and I ain't gonna apologize when I'm fucking rich. There's no way I'm apologizing for either one of them. I wasn't embarrassed to how I grew up, and I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so proud. I'm proud of the impact I've made on people's lives. I'm proud of what I've been able to provide for the people around me as far as opportunities, yes. But the other stuff is just materialistic. But when you look at the life insurance company, when you look at that company, I don't know anybody else in America that's created more high income earners than we have at Family First Life. I don't know any. I don't. And real estate was good, but I didn't create a lot of high income earners. I made money. Waste management was good. I did not create a lot of high income earners. I made money. But in life insurance, it's been different. And for me, that's what you're going to hear a lot about in Close and Conquer. Punch Me in the Face will always be near and dear to my heart. We still got tons of shirts. You'll see those. Close and Conquer. And I had a guy that knows a lot more about this business than me. And I found good people in this business to talk to. I ingratiate myself to them. I work hard. I get around them. And I'm always learning. So some of the folks y'all want to listen to, they ain't learning. They don't really know a lot more than the one or two things they tell you. And he said, you talk a lot about love and life insurance and the passion you had behind it and the game plan you had and the void that was out there and you attacked it. Why are you not doing the same thing in this space? Because when you do, you'll absolutely blow up. And you want to know why I want to blow up? I want to make a difference in people's lives. I want people to say, I do. I want people to go, you know what? That guy Close and Conquer, that guy Sean, dude, for 2 first names, I watched that thing. You know what, man? I like it. And it allowed me to do this and this and this in my life. It allowed my kids to have this opportunity. He said this one day, and you know what? I took it and ran with it. He had already been through a lot. He made a lot of mistakes, and he was right. I had this problem going on. Man, I was drinking a lot, partying a lot, and, you know, he talked a lot about sobriety. I heard him talk about it. Damn, he talked about his faith, and I don't know if I had one I found. I just want to share. Be honest, be direct, and empower people. But what I need you to do is help spread the word about what we're doing. Like, subscribe, share. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what this is going to be about, it will be real. It will be funny sometimes. You will laugh sometimes. You will cry. You will laugh at my expense. We are going to be open and direct, and it will be funny. It will be challenging. We will piss some people off, but we're not going to leave anything on the table. Just like we ain't going to leave it, like we're going to leave it all out in the field, man. Everything, when that game is over that day, we're done with a podcast, you're done with your day, your week, your month, your year. You're going to look back on that thing and go, damn, I gave it every mother effing thing I had, bro. I ain't got shit ass left. Blood, sweat, tears, I gave it all. And if you can do that, you hold your head high. So welcome to the Close and Conquer platform. Stay tuned for the podcasts. They drop weekly where you can see them and you can listen to them. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Send it to some people. Challenge them. See if they like it. Ask their freaking opinion. I want their opinions either way. I'm a big boy. I might even agree if they say something they don't like. I might not. But at the end of the day, I'm going to keep it moving. And I want to teach you to do the exact same thing. So thanks for your time today. We're really excited about Close and Conquer, the podcast. And we look forward to conquering. There's a void out there. I can help fill it. And I can help you get to where you want to get to. And then you can teach other people. Reach your hand back out and bring them with you. So appreciate your time.